We're up. Welcome to another episode of the Lucky Clover podcast. My name is Austin Pegram, along with Aaron Barbell. It's been 3 weeks. A lot of stuff has happened. Last we were here, we are talking about the Ime Udoka suspension as well as the Robert Williams injury. So training camps happened. Preseason is finished. Celtics go 2-2. Alternating games with the Charlotte Hornets and the Toronto Raptors. Celtics win both games against the Charlotte Hornets and lose both games against the Toronto Raptors. Even though it's only preseason, we're not obviously regular rotations weren't really a thing much in the preseason. You kind of want to save your guys, just try to get them into NBA game kind of mode just in general as terms of pacing and what the lineups are going to look like and everything. Maybe toy around with some lineups.
It's old news now of recording this, but we also the big signings is probably Blake Griffin, who's not an all-star Blake Griffin, but there is Blake Griffin, and I think we'll touch upon later maybe Noah Vonleh and Justin Jackson, but the bulk of what we talked about is the preseason. Those are what has been kind of, I guess, the Celtics focus for the last few weeks, and not much to take from it. Obviously the Suns got beat by an Australian EuroLeague team.
36ers or something.
Yeah, 36ers. So we're not hilarious. Things aren't crazy, but also, the Hornets getting beat by 30 plus points in the first game is also a pretty good sign. So we'll talk about that kind of stuff. But that's, anything else? Anything else we're kind of looking to talk about, Austin?
No, I just overall, my general thing is, in terms of how the team looks, I like the pace they have right now. I like the pace they're playing with. And I like the offensive options that they have right now from what I've seen.
For sure.
We knew Malcolm Brogdon coming in was going to be a huge boost for the offense because he's another ball handler and he can create his own shots and get to the rim really quickly. And that's literally what you saw in preseason. I mean, thinking that the first game he dished out like 9 assists or something, or maybe 10 assists. And you think he's had like over 20 assists for the preseason. So it's pretty clear he's a more crisp passer than Marcus Smart and Derek White naturally, I believe.
Yeah,
I think Marcus Smart is obviously a good passer. He definitely was the best passer on the Celtics last year. But I think having Malcolm Brogdon as a secondary ball handler, that was very clear that that's going to help a lot because overall, I think it's kind of going to be a ball handling by committee type thing where it's just, people are going to handle the rock at different situations. There's not going to be one primary ball handler bringing the ball up the floor every time or setting up a certain play or anything like that. So I like how they have options right now.
For sure. And Brogdon, we talked so much about Brogdon, but it can really can't be understated that, when you get a player like Brogdon, you have to either usually get rid of something, you usually have to get rid of somebody, or usually the person who we got rid, who you usually see it as an upgrade on like a specific role, specific player. But with Brogdon, for many of the fans, it's really hard to tell, in a good way, what was this is a new, it feels like a new position because what we had was Smart and Jalen as the guard spots, and really Smart as a point guard, and Jalen is not a point guard, just shooting guard, small forward. Where the Derek White, when Derek White and Smart were on the floor at the same time, that meant the third string point guard was going to be like Peyton Pritchard, who was still not able to be a point guard. He was really playing the point guard, but on offense, aka
you more so just want to set him up for shots.
One of the smallest. He's putting on the smallest player, but he's point guard on defense, but not this point guard on offense, where he's more of the guy who is more shooter. But Brogdon is not. That's the point. We're replacing Peyton's minutes and more with Brogdon, who's just a huge improvement with Peyton and much more what we need at ball, more distributing, more passing, and solid defense. So he's a great fit. And like the big hole, and that was a big hole, and like turnovers we'll talk about is probably going to be a big problem. But look, when you have a team that passes a lot, it has the great passers and has some great playmakers, you're going to get turnover. And I'd much rather. I'd much rather them not turn over, but I mean, I think we kind of hinted on this, but I think it's important to note that uh, you know, teams that don't, a lot of teams that don't turn over much are playing iso ball. When you play iso ball, you it really doesn't don't turn over much. And the Celtics had their fair share of iso ball. We the first half of the Celtics previous season, the 2021-22 season, was we saw a lot of iso ball. We saw Jalen taking turns with Tatum just getting it, just holding the ball for too long. So we clearly improved from there, and I think from what I saw in the preseason, I mean, not control's not always there, but the team passes, and that's how that's a huge part of winning championships.
No, I overall I love when the ball is just whipping around. And you
Yeah,
have people moving off the ball. I mean, that's just what creates the best looks for offense overall. And it seems like you have more options with that with Malcolm Brogdon being in. Another kind of underrated part, well, not underrated, but another part of that bench unit is Sam Hauser coming off the bench, who
it really
had a rough
improved.
last game in the preseason shooting, but overall has just been shooting his 3-point shooting. He's been off the chart. He's a great off the ball mover. He's really good at getting himself open, and he has an extremely quick release. So when you have like a playmaker coming off the bench, like a secondary ball handler coming off the bench, like Malcolm Brogdon, and you have Sam Hauser coming off the bench who can knock down shots, I think that definitely gives them a lot more options. Um, Setting up this year than they had last year. And from the games that Derek White has played, his shots looking better. The
Yeah,
game in Toronto on Friday night, the last game of the preseason, he had 23 points. I think he shot like maybe 5 or 7 for three, or he had like 6 threes or something, maybe. He was just knocking him down, and his shot, he's mentioned in training camp and that he's tweaked his shot a little bit, trying to get back to the basics and stuff. And I mean, hey, as of right now, I believe him. I mean, he looks more
yeah.
confident. He can pull it. He's pulling it a lot quicker. He's good at getting himself open for those
Excuse
threes
me.
too. And that's just over. That's gonna help a lot. If you can have people that can, like, if Derek White, like, and like Sam Hauser, like, for the season shot around, like, I mean, if you get like that
6%.
37%, like, that's obviously not, I mean, it's probably
That's
more,
that's
what's like, that's around like the average, right?
I
So
that,
more,
that's yeah, that's good. That's about the average in reality.
yeah,
Like I'm like this this is an Aaron take, not a specific. I still think 34% is where it should
yeah,
be. Because
34,
we
yeah,
because when we see when
35,
I see a
34.
player when I see a player hit 50% in field goal percentage, I think, oh, he must be hitting he in like back in the old days, they're like, oh, he hits, like, he's hitting like half his shots. And,
Yeah.
and like in nowadays, like 34% from threes hitting half your shots.
Hmm.
You hit 1 out of 3 threes. If you hit two out of six threes, you're making 6 points, which is equivalent of 3 twos. So quick
Yeah.
maths. But I think at 35, 36%, that's where you want to be. I think that's about league average, and league average is, and you have to guard league average. You can't. I mean, that's you above league average means you're a huge boon you're a huge boon on your own. But if you're league average, you're still is boon the right phrase? Let me just quickly go. You're a huge you're a huge help on your own, and then yes, hey, boon. But but if you just league average, just by standing there, you create some pressure on the defense. You create an opportunity that to knock down shots. So yeah, well, I think Hauser, I mean, like we talked about, I think Hauser looked rough last year. I mean, he was a bench warmer. He really was just to fill up the roster. But this year he showed out, and we won't. And I think it's like a I think it's an I think what we'll see is that he's going to take some of the Robert Williams minutes, but in a positive way, where you'd think the Hauser the drop off from Hauser to Rob is so huge in general talent, of course, because I'm gonna be honest, Rob's amazing and Hauser is, is not there yet. He's a role player. He's not really, maybe he figures some new things out, but he's a role player. Let's be honest. But he's a huge drop off in defense, but he's a huge pickup in offense in 3-point shooting. So you can never replace Rob. It's just you like there's only a handful of players who play defense like Rob and play it as well as him, but you can pivot. So what we're going to see is maybe they're gonna maybe score a lot more buckets with that with Howard on the court, but we're gonna have it. But we might score some extra more buckets to at least get it closer. Because I mean, I don't think. Let's be honest. Like it was offense. Like how even as good of a shooter Hauser is at 7 foot, he's it's a really hard to guard. His offense his good offense does not make up for the fact that the difference in defense. But again, we've accepted that. So Hauser, Hauser is gonna be not a replacement for Rob, but a pivot into what could be at least a beneficial role.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to because with Rob's injury, they've been playing smaller for all the preseason games. Well, most of them where the starters did play, they had Derek White in the starting lineup, him and Marcus as the guards, Jalen at the 3 spot, Tatum at the 4, and Al at the 5. So going small, it's been creating more opportunities for them offensively. It seems like that's what they're really trying to hone in on. Obviously, last year they were the best defensive team in the league, but this year Joe Mazzulla says that they definitely want to try to focus more on the offense. Defense, we know defense was not really an issue last year in the playoffs. It was more so offensively that they struggled, especially in that finals against the Warriors. So for focusing on offense right now is a huge thing for them. And with playing small definitely gives them more options. However, you kind of give up the interior defense and rim protection, obviously, that Rob provides. And you are pretty small out there. With Horford at the 5, obviously Horford is still a great player, but he is up there in age, and a lot of these teams are very physical. You notice that not so much with Charlotte, but against the Raptors, who have lengthy players. You have OG Anunoby, you have Scotty Barnes, Pascal Siakam, Precious Achua as well. They're all linked. They have a lot of length and athleticism, and that is kind of worrisome because it provided them a lot of offensive rebounds. Rebounding was one of the things that I noticed as the preseason went on.
We've had that issue for
every
years.
Game. Yeah. Throughout every game, rebounding, like they would play great defense, but part of playing great defense is finishing the possession off if they miss with defensive rebound. And
I mean that's Horford's big. Coincidentally enough, that's Horford's biggest weakness. This guy is a 6'11". He's strong. He's fast for his position. Yet he maybe 6'10". Let's use handy Google.
I don't know how tall he is. I thought he was gonna be like. Yeah,
but you might be 6'10". He is 6'9". No, he might not be 6'9".
Maybe in the 6'9" area.
But he's obviously he's plays the big man role, but I'm more confident in his passing than his rebounding. Obviously, his numbers may not suggest that, but I would say at least his percentage numbers. He's not an elite. He doesn't get elite rebounder, but and that's going to be something we have to get used to. Is being better on the defensive glass. And credit to Celtics. Like I think I will say what fans can look forward to is like it doesn't like the fact that we don't have Rob doesn't mean we're gonna be super killed in the defensive rebounding or offense, to be honest, because we have really solid rebounders outside of the big men. Like Smart is a savvy rebounder. He's a tall guard. Everyone says Derek White too. They're both scrappy. So
Jalen and Jason are pretty athletic wings. They can get
Jalen
and
Jason can get some boards, especially except for Tatum. Tatum can get 7-8 boards. So it's just going to take more of a conscious effort and acceptance that maybe that's going to maybe we kill him on the offensive and they will have a few more possessions than we should have, but we'll at least at least minimizing it because you can't get every offensive rebound.
Yeah.
It's just gonna, but it can add up.
Yeah, overall, I'm not super worried about it as of now. I think it's just something that's gonna, while Rob is out, it's gonna take a little extra focus. Being able to, seal off a defensive possession by getting that board. Also, just because when you see how fast they're playing, they're really trying to get out in transition and run. As well, especially now that you don't have those take fouls anymore. If you do a take foul, you get a free throw and the ball. So now we're
It's
seeing a
really
lot.
good.
Now we're seeing a lot more fast break possessions playing out, which is pretty dope.
For
But
sure.
when you want to play fast like that and get out in transition, getting a clean rebound is definitely a very important part of it. Like I said, right now I'm not super concerned with it, but there are some teams in the East that you're going to play against without Rob in the beginning. Obviously, Philly being one of them. You're going up against Joel Embiid, arguably the best center in the NBA. It's gonna when you're going against a team with size, it's definitely gonna be tough. Like the Milwaukee Bucks, I don't know if they play them anytime soon. This season, I think they first play them actually on Christmas, so I don't know if Rob will be back by then. But playing these other lengthier teams or teams that have elite big men, you're gonna need all the size you can get. And the drop off from Al Horford to the bench bigs right now is pretty significant.
Yeah.
You have
I mean,
Durant who can
yeah,
do like
yeah.
a little bit of small ball five, but I don't think that's where he's best suited. I like him out on the perimeter
As
more
a four,
so.
as a big more big four now, because I mean
Hmm.
he's not super tall, but but a lot of but he weighs a lot more than the average four, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Um,
strong dude.
his side, yeah, exactly. It's like hitting a brick wall. So
Exactly.
he, you have him, Luke Cornett. We didn't
Length.
see him at all during the preseason. He sprained his ankle.
No.
Um, And then he apparently was active for the game on Friday, but they didn't play him.
Was
So I
I
don't know.
Luke Cornett and Hauser? Was I confusing the two of them? Can Hauser shoot threes?
Yeah, Hauser's a knockdown. Hauser's a knockdown shooter.
Sam
Um,
Hauser. I may or may not have been. I may or may not. I don't know. If they probably heard. You didn't call me on it, but I thought the Sam Hauser as a center. I think you just went along with it to make me feel nice.
I
But
was
Sam
kind
Hauser
of confused. I didn't really
is
know.
not a center. I was thinking of Luke Cornett, which is a joke. I have watched the preseason game. I preseason games. Trust me. I just probably a little face blind. Let's be honest. I may, even though I may not see it. I mean, even though I am, I don't know if my viewers can see it, but I'm white. But I for some reason I assume all white players are about there's three white players, which is Kyle Koval, and Kyle Koval,
God.
even though he's retired. They all the people blend in. Look, Luke Cornett, Sam Hauser,
Oh
they
my.
look the same to me. Sorry,
Yeah,
but
no. Yeah,
they but now yes, Sam Hauser is very good. Sam Hauser will be a solid wing, not a solid
no.
big man.
Yeah, I'm excited about Sam Hauser. People are worried about him on the defensive end, but I think, as I think we have other capable defenders where we can hide him on defense. But yeah, Luke Cornett, he was practicing before he got injured. He was practicing with the starting rotation. Uh,
That's what I was saying.
apparently the
He's
starting
saying
lineup, yeah,
that's what I'm
apparently
saying.
this,
He can shoot threes and not be around
yeah,
play swap, but pivot. That's Luke Cornett can do it, not Sam Hauser.
yeah. No, I hear you. I think I don't know. The lineup is still undecided. I think Joe Mazzulla said today, the Celtics interim coach for now. Uh, he doesn't know exactly what the lineup is going to be. I don't know. I feel like he's probably going to stick with Derek White. Maybe some of it will be matchup dependent.
Yeah,
They're
Brogdon
going up
maybe
against
starting
Phil.
sometimes. I was saying
Maybe
Brogdon
Brogdon,
maybe
but I
starting
think
some.
I think they're going to want to keep Brogdon coming off the bench because I
I
think they like that
probably
secondary. They like that secondary
yeah.
playmaker.
He's a little better he's a lot better a playmaker than White. Although White is a solid
Hmm.
one, but
Yeah.
nothing
Hmm.
exceptional.
So I think they're going to keep him coming off the bench, and he's said that he's kind of embraced that. He's going to kind of do that
Yeah,
sixth
he
man
loves it. I
role.
mean, he wants to
So
win. He chose the
yeah,
Celtics. I don't know if reports have came out, but reports have come out that he kind of had a choice, and he chose the Celtics specifically because he wanted to win.
yeah,
They
it was between the Raptors and the Celtics. He said the Celtics seemed a little obviously further along. They just made the finals. Obviously, him and Jalen Brown are good homies. They uh I think they've done. I think they had they were doing a protest together in the past, during 2020 and the Black Lives Matter movement and everything. They're
Sure.
well acquainted with each other. Um,
Yeah.
it seemed like this was a pretty obvious choice for him to come here, which is dope because the addition of him, if he can stay healthy, is going to be extremely key to what this team is trying to do offensively.
For sure.
Um, and defensively, he's not a slouch. He has size for a guard. He's what, like 6'5", 6'6".
He
So
had some. Yeah,
uh,
he had a few years where he was a elite defender, and I think he's kind
mhm,
of regressed a little bit, but
he's
he's
regressed a
still
little
solid
bit. He's had to put on an extreme workload for Indiana, being a
for
starting
sure.
point guard there. So he was playing like playoff minutes in the regular season, like literally like almost every night. So
Yeah.
he's definitely gone through some wear and tear. He left the game on Friday in the second half with left leg soreness or something, I believe. Uh, so that was a
Yeah.
little concerning, but they said it was pretty much fine. It
Yeah.
was
Precaution
if they
training
said, yeah, they said if it was the regular season, he would have came back in the game, no problem. But
for
you can
sure.
never be too careful, and preseason games don't matter. So if someone
Not
feels
at all. Yeah.
a little something wrong, you might as well just take him out and not even risk it.
Yeah.
So, but I love the pace. I love the offensive options they have. Just the defensive rebounding is and offensive rebounding is going to be maybe
Yeah.
a little bit of an issue without Rob. It's going to have to be just like the ball handling, rebounding by committee,
Yeah.
really making sure you're locked in on that. So,
Uh,
but
yeah. Do you want to talk about? I love. I've been periodically checking my laptop to find it, but the Blake Griffin's games of the Celtics. He's, obviously his name is way big of a deal than his talent level currently. He's not been an elite player for a while, although
yeah,
he had his moments um in Detroit, but it's been since that's been like 2019 he was really great. But
yeah, I think
I mean,
2020.
we last we last outside of preseason games. I'm trying to find his preseason stats, but in last season games we saw of him in a the real
It was in
sanctioned NBA game playoffs against us, and
yeah.
he looked good, solid.
Well,
You
yeah, he
know,
was the only one playing with any heart. I mean, he took those
yes, I mean
charges, but he was getting cooked on defense.
but he was rebounding well, and I mean the guy is going. I mean he's not going to be an elite player, but I mean I many people are going to say he's washed. He's so, and I completely like I apologize to be mean to him, but he is so washed. But a washed Blake Griffin is still a solid role player. It's still a
Hmm.
good role player. I'm, 436 numbers aren't great because they're not exemplary of an actual player, but if he was playing it is minutes he averaged in his if he played 36 minutes, he would have averaged about 14 points and 9 rebounds and 4 assists. So for reference, he played 17 minutes a game last season, got 4 rebounds, 2 assists, six points. Again, stats on everything, but he's a solid rebounder. He's actually he's a good passer, and more importantly, like you said, he plays with heart. He clearly is he's been known to be a likable guy. He's very funny
Yeah,
and
he's already fitting with the team
charismatic.
really well, it seems like.
But and I think like honestly maybe I should just stop there. Like that's I think it might be understated because as Celtics fans, we really went through the ringer the last few years with the Kyrie era. And not saying that Kyrie's completely his fault, although Kyrie's kind of been gone off the rail recently, but the Kyrie, Terry Rozier, Marcus Morris year was notoriously bad. I mean, and we all know like that team was super talented, and everyone's in like this the everyone's like, oh, the Jalen and Jason can't play together, and it's obviously they can, but it wasn't them. It was Rozier and Morris and were not did not fit in well on the team. That's with reports have come out that they were not happy with their they want they both of them wanted the bag, and I get it. And I think they both got good contracts when they left, but it just can't be understated that having a guy like like Blake Griffin, who's knows his role and knows what to do, and it's such a fun, friendly guy. That's going to help for the walk on, especially in Brogdon too. Brogdon, like you said, is friends with Jaylen Brown. I think obviously winning heals all wounds. The team loses and maybe we start to cracks. Maybe it's different, but it's I think we have a really good foundation, and you can only we can't psychoanalyze these guys, but we can say that habitually they're all these. I think we have a group of guys that I think many fans can root for, because these are a likable group of guys.
It seems like they're all invested in each other a
For
lot.
sure.
Um, Over the summer, it seems like they had taken that finals loss really personally. Obviously, getting beaten in 6 by the Warriors, losing 3 straight, and then losing the final one on your home court.
Well said.
They do seem really locked in.
Yeah.
I can tell they seem like they've been itching to play for the most part. Jaylen Brown has been just looking. Jaylen Brown's been in the lab. He's looking great. His shot's a lot quicker. He's looking stronger, quicker. I love what I've seen from him. Tatum, he's getting to the rack easier. I think his shot is still a little off right now. I think that's the only thing. You want to see him knock those down. That's obviously, but the most
For sure.
important part is being able to affect the game when you're not scoring. I think just getting that consistency where you can't have nights where you're not doing anything on offense. Like, you have to be producing something on offense, I
Right.
believe. And he's already a capable defender. So offensively, you want to be able to see him contribute more often. Um, I could see, honestly, Jaylen Brown averaging more points than Jason Tatum this season. If you've watched the preseason games,
Maybe.
Brown just looks different right now.
Yeah.
He
Yeah. So yeah.
he noticeably took a lot of he noticeably looked very upset when the finals ended, and how it ended. Obviously, he was the one who was getting talked shit to a lot throughout the finals, and uh, he said, he wore those same shoes that he had in that final game every day when he worked out during the summer, because to remind
Right.
him of it. So he looks like he has a grudge this year, and he's ready to prove, you know, he's ready to prove everyone wrong. Tatum,
Right.
I I think once I start seeing that shot fall, I'm already, yeah, I think
Yeah.
then I'll be completely locked in, because I don't know. I think right now with this team's expectation for me, while Rob is out, I hope they stay top 4. I don't think that should be too much of an ask without Rob, but it's gonna be a challenge. I still want to see them come out like looking aggressive regardless. I don't want to see them, resort to bad habits, and I don't want to, to see a lot of cold starts like we did last year. I kind of want to see them come
For
out
sure.
firing from off the bat,
Um.
but I do know with a limited kind of roster options right now and limited amount of big men, it's going to be probably a lot of minutes logged. So, and without the depth against some of these contending teams in the East, I think it's going to be difficult to pull off some wins. But you're just going to have to find out a way to get by for right now.
Yeah. Just to rewind, because we were going to talk about this before. And I was going to mention earlier, we had a great transition to it. We're talking about the Warriors. We're talking about team chemistry with Blake. We have to talk about, and I'm doing this only because make sure we put in our time, because we can't like, if we wanted, we could do an entire episode on this, make a 3-hour podcast. But I think the Celtics look good in their chemistry. I think the Warriors starting to show some cracks. I think they're showing there was some
Yeah,
haymakers, some punches thrown,
haymakers,
and
literally. Yeah.
yeah, no, that is so does that make the Warriors mortal? I mean, first of all, let's just like, the Warriors were already didn't want their favorites to win last year. I think people were obsessed with the Suns, and I rightfully so. They look great, and the Bucks look great with that before Middleton got injured. So, is this it's hard to bet against Steph Curry, but it's still anyway. Let's talk about the drama, because it's because it's as a non-Warriors fan, this is a crazy time. As a non-Warriors fan, this is a great, like, what is it? Almost exciting time. People are very interested in this because they love the gossip. I don't shouldn't be excited by a guy getting punched, but he's safe and he's okay.
Yeah.
But look, that shit is crazy. That's all. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. That's
No,
nothing else to say.
it's it was definitely. I mean, if you've been a fan of the NBA for a while, you know Draymond is always a hothead.
Oh
Um,
my God.
and he's definitely looking to start stuff a lot of the times, and it's extremely aggravating. It seems like he kind of gets called differently because of that. It's like, oh, it's Draymond. It's like,
Yeah.
he just does this. So obviously that
Yeah.
video,
So yeah.
well, at
Yeah.
first you hear the tweet like there's an altercation between him and Poole at practice, and then the video gets leaked to TMZ. Draymond absolutely clocks him. I was like, at first I was like, it's
Yeah.
probably a little dust up or something, and then I
Get
see the
that.
video. I was like, ooh.
He
I was
put
like,
his full
nah,
force behind it. That's a violent.
he really clocked him.
Yeah.
And then, internet memes going off. People,
For
they
sure.
have a press conference about it. Draymond, he takes a break from the team, but then he returns for the end of the preseason. And then yesterday, you see immediately
Two
Poole gets extended. I think 4
Wiggins,
years for 140 million for Poole.
something like that.
Wiggins, I I can't remember exactly what his. I think it might have been 120. You can look that up for me. Not sure how many years, but he got
Yes.
extended as well. And it's like, oh well,
Yeah. They
seems like
got
the Warriors
the
know where
Wiggins
they
one was
stand
a
on.
good deal.
Yeah, this seems like the Warriors know where they stand on Draymond right now, and a lot of the Warriors fans. I mean, seems like they're kind of ready to move on with him too. Uh, Obviously, Draymond
Dudes,
Green
hold on.
is a big part of what the Warriors have done offensively and defensively throughout their dynasty.
Mostly defensively.
Mostly defensively. He does pace a lot of the offense.
Yeah, he's
The
good
Warriors probably
basketball.
would have been number one defense in the league had he not gotten injured last year. Um, he
Oh,
definitely was
that's
an instrumental part in those championships. Not so as much this past one. Fouled out like what 3 out of 6 games, and
he looked rough.
he got benched like late in one of the games or something like that. He was not that good, so he's definitely on the kind of downside of his career right now. Jordan Poole and Andrew Wiggins definitely huge contributors in the playoffs um and the finals for sure because Wiggins defensively was helping out a lot
Killing.
because
Yeah,
being able to keep Tatum in check. Obviously, he was getting double and stuff, but Wiggins is able to hold his own
for
defensively
sure.
and offensively. He stepped up as well. He's only 27. He's a wing. You want those kind of players in the NBA all day.
For
Draymond,
sure.
downside of his career, he's not going to need much use anymore. Poole, they know they have their guy right there.
Yeah.
So it's kind of nice to see. I mean, obviously the Warriors, like I don't really care what happens to them overall, and they just beat us, so I'm not really very fond of them. But at least seeing Draymond kind of get this slice of humble
Muppets.
pie right now is pretty nice.
Yeah.
He can still opt in, if he decides, but maybe he can get money somewhere else. I don't know how he's gonna look on another team though.
Yeah, it's gonna
Not
be
in the
rough. I
Warriors
mean,
system.
he's a great fit for them.
Yeah, he's a great fit for them. So I'm curious on how any other team it would work. I'm wondering if he'll
Yeah.
get exposed or not. So
But
it's
I
kind of
mean,
nice to see that.
yeah, no, it is. It's kind of, I mean, it's he's mortal, they're real. I mean, the big thing is like, let's be like, I know they didn't love it, and maybe it's different because I'm not a Warriors fan, but like the leaks are bad. The leaks aren't great, but like,
Yeah.
I mean, my big thing is like, if you don't want, if you, it's a really easy way to avoid getting like a fist fight leaked to the internet is you just don't have the fist fight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because like and like yes, I know. Like we all know. Like if we've seen it, like there are players have gone fights. I mean, there's videos of players getting in fights on the court.
Yeah.
Like on the field of their own teammates. In
I'm sure a
baseball,
lot of
it's
stuff
like
happens in
it's
practice.
classic. You see these guys getting in faces, but like we do not like. Let's be honest. Like this is not a normal punch. This is a this is a like he uses his forearm. He clears him. He gets
Put his
he nails him
body
in the
into that.
face. It was like that is a and like and like if you want to blame Liko, like blame Liko, but like if you didn't want it to be like and like I don't know. Like for me it's like I don't want to be like okay like you don't want to blame the victim for like you want to like you don't want to blame people blame the one you don't want to blame the people like you should we want to we mostly would say blame Liko, not the person whose video was leaked. But this is an assault. It's a fist fight. This is not, and we're not leaking someone's personal stuff. We're not leaking someone's private, something inappropriate. This is literally a fist fight between two colleagues, if you and a rough one. So I don't know. It's really leaks in general a little. Like the problem is like obviously it leaked to the TMZ for fist fight is a little different, but if it's slippery slope, you don't like a leak of a play of a play getting run to another team is literally like cheating. It's like you would get suspensions. That is, I mean, that's like that's like the Patriots got huge trouble years ago for that. It's called Spygate, literally recording
Yeah.
the other side,
Hmm.
and that would be the equivalent of it. So it's not. The leak isn't a good leaks on good things, but this is it's important to notice that this is not the leak. Like people should not be focusing on the leak. Really, they should be focusing on this fist fight. But they're both
Yeah.
not perfect. There's not, but like again, I as someone who's not a multimillionaire, I think I'm a little more lenient on the leak code because that leak got a, I don't know how many people are aware of this, but that leak got a bag. You got a
Yeah. I
lot of
think he got
money.
like a hundred
TMZ.
thousand or 40 to 100,000, something like that.
Did they say that? I know that people. I thought people were estimating that because TMZ will pay you a lot of money for that
Yeah,
kind of
people might have
news,
been
but
estimating. I don't know. That's what I saw, but
I mean that's a lot of money. Look, I
yeah,
get it.
it
I
is.
I, I would do the same thing. I'd be a little rat. I'm sorry. Get that cheese. Be a rat.
Yeah,
Be a mice.
but
But is it?
I
But it's a wild time.
I don't think the Warriors are gonna. I don't think we'll see how it goes throughout the season. Seeing that Wiggins and Poole got their extensions and Draymond didn't, and we'll see how that plays out. I don't know how.
I think
He's
it's a quote for
saying
you,
from
but
his pressers, he's like, well, regardless of if I get an extension or not, we have one job to do, and that's to defend our championship and win another one.
true.
Um, we'll see how that goes throughout the season because I don't know. He doesn't seem like one to really brush things off like that. I mean, he seems like a really petty person. He seems very insecure. Seems like he's always been like his
Man,
entire career. It seems like he's always talking shit constantly. So I don't know. I never count
I'll
out
say,
the Warriors with the amount of talent and veteran leadership they have, but it definitely is an
yeah.
interesting situation. And overall, it seems like the Warriors are ready to move on with this, and that they are perfectly fine with not seeing Draymond in
I will say,
gold and
I'm
blue or
gonna cut
yellow
you
or
off
blue.
here.
Sorry.
We know your problem. I just because we need to mention it. The Draymond says he wasn't put it behind him, but he was also quoted 3 days ago. If you're going to let a contract situation linger, then you better be damn sure that you are willing to handle all the effects of the contract lingering, that it can have on the team.
Mm-hmm.
Which has been, which is one thing to say for another person. Let's say Jordan Poole or Wiggins were the ones doing that. He would say like, look, like if they're not gonna extend my teammate, like that's gonna create problems because he might be upset about that. But to
Yeah.
say that about your own contract is freaking crazy. The dude
Yeah.
sounds like he's like, I'm gonna purposely tank. I'm not gonna purposely tank. I'm gonna purposely tank the, purposely cause shitstorm and if you're not going to sign me. So if anything, like maybe that's what we should focus on because that is a big deal. That is not normal behavior. Fights and practices are still not normal behavior. Even Steve Kerr said that this is not normal. But Steve Kerr also did admit that he was recipient of a punch by his own teammate Michael Jordan, and they worked out fine. So, but that but announcing that you're going to that not getting extended is going to be a problem is has never I've never heard of that not being a problem. You talk about the history of that. Scottie Pippen famously did that. He said, I said I want to be traded or re-signed, and you know what they did? He was like an average player. He clearly regressed because he openly said that. Guys like Draymond, it, any guy, people in general, if you openly state I'm going to create issues because you don't want to resign me, they don't go get on the court and then start playing like an A+ player. They generally start doing issues. They win as far to say that out loud. They're going to do it. They're not going to do the opposite and say, "Oh, this is fine," and then be an asshole. If they, if you know, if you know, you imagine like everything is sugarcoated to an extent. If players are saying things as openly as that, imagine how openly they would say, because that was like, because that had some nuance to it. It's like, oh, if he didn't openly say I'm an asshole, I'm gonna screw with you guys if you guys screw with my money. He didn't say that, so he's sugarcoating it, and that sugarcoating is really bad. So
He's he's listening to him talk is really frustrating. I mean, when you hear his podcast, you've seen like he's obviously an intelligent basketball mind, and he sees the game very well. But yeah, it just his arrogance is just amazing to me. And it's good to see that he's kind of getting what's coming to him. I don't know if he's gonna purposely try to sabotage the team. I don't think he would do that. I don't know though. We'll
bad quotes
see.
though. Bad
I don't put
quotes.
anything past anybody. I think overall they're still focusing on trying to win the whole
Yeah,
thing. And I think he's gonna try to at least get one more out of this before he leaves.
he's very competitive. I will say that
Yes,
he's very
exactly.
competitive
So, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, him and him, Steph, and Clay are good friends. Him and Iggy as well. He still has a lot of love for the organization and everything. It's just things come to an end eventually. Obviously,
Yeah,
probably didn't expect it going like this, but he also can opt in as well if he does decide to not get that uh as much paper as he wants to, but it seems like for the most part he's going to be gone. Um, is
great.
he? Because will he be? I think he has one more year left, and then next summer he'll be able to. Will he be restricted free agent, or I think he'll be
No, he's no, because it goes
unrestricted?
strict because you're not restricted. You really
Yeah.
restricted free agent after your like first contract, first second
Yeah.
contract.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's been a few, but well, yeah, we'll see. Maybe, I think if they sign him at a qualifying offer, let's see if they do. I don't know. Qualifying offers are still
Yeah.
always a thing that way, but
I think. I think it's just him being on the downside of his career. Now they have they have two younger players. It was kind of obvious that they're
yeah,
gonna get rid of him. I mean, he's definitely the most expendable player out of
for sure.
that dynasty, I believe. So being able to replace him may be a little difficult at first, but there's definitely ways
Yeah,
they can do it.
there's not many players. There's not many players at his level, but it's not. You're not going to replace Draymond with another Draymond. You're going to replace him with
Hmm.
a different, like we say, a pivot.
Yeah.
Because Draymond is not the player he once was, and he's not an absolute beast. He's a good player. So you get another player who's a good player. Maybe in this case, maybe a guy who's solid on offense and defense, rather than elite on offense and elite on defense and okay on offense. Because let's
Hmm.
be honest, Draymond is rough on offense. He
Yeah.
was an outlier. He was an outlier of the wall. He had he had a in his defensive player of the year seasons. The guy was shooting 40% from three. I mean, that's crazy. It was 39% for three. One random season, he did 39% for three. And ever since then, his highest has been 308. And that's literally the next season.
Hmm.
He the guy is just the guy is cannot shoot much at all. Though he's good in the interior, but I mean he's not shooting a ton of interior shots because he's 6'7" and not the fastest. He's 6'6". He's listed at 6'6", but but again, like we talked about, he's on the he's 30 plus 30 plus years old, 32, and he's clearly regressed over the years. So 32 for some players is going to be LeBron's 30. It's 39. And he looks like an elite
Yep.
player, but he's clearly regressed. So yeah, I think we'll see the Warriors. I think we see the Warriors. Maybe take a step back this season. Think the East looks as tough as ever, but the West, with I think the West, even though it's not big news, but if it's been a while, but DeAndre Ayton is the son. He doesn't look happy to be one, but he is the son. He looks unhappy.
Yeah.
So the West looks up in the air. East, looks like a dogfight, but Celtics have it in them to get there. We know that
I think. I think right now Celtics are just worried about staying in that top four, getting
for sure.
getting Rob back, seeing what you can do if you're fully healthy for the playoffs. Um, it's gonna be tough because there's gonna be times where they might lose like 5 out of 7 games over like a few week period, and there's gonna be
For
some
sure.
doubts. Like with the new coach and everything, and how they're adjusting and all that. So they're gonna have to
Yeah,
find a way to be able to bounce back, uh, from that and not let it get in their
for sure.
heads. Um, the really team fully healthy, I'm only truly scared of is Milwaukee. Um, However, without Rob, I'm pretty much scared of a lot
Most
of.
elite team,
I'm most teams. Definitely
elite
Philly,
teams. Yeah, yeah.
Miami, who we're going to be playing first two nights of their first two games of the season.
Mm,
Philly literally in 2 days from this recording right now. Uh, that's going to be interesting. We don't really have.
for sure.
There's not really many people in the NBA that can guard Embiid because he's just one of those players that's pretty much unguardable. But Al Horford
Yep.
is able to do a better job than most, but you don't have much big depth. So
And most means limiting him to under like
he'll still
25 points sometimes.
he'll
He still
yeah,
shoots
exactly.
well.
He'll still shoot well. He'll still get to the free throw line. Um he's gonna
Just
affect
contain
the
him,
game. He's gonna definitely affect the game defensively. Like
boxing
he
him.
Yeah, it's gonna be these first two games are gonna be a challenge because then you have Miami,
Yeah,
who's coming off that heartbreaking game 7 loss to the Celtics in the Eastern
they're gonna
Conference
be hungry
Finals. They're going to be looking ready to, and especially now that Rob's in, they're going to be looking to attack the interior. They're going to be looking for some get back as well. So you have two big tests right off the bat of the season, where you're a little thin on the big side. You don't have
for
that
sure.
interior defensive and rim protection of Rob. So that's going to be interesting to see how they handle it. Overall, though, I with the pace they're playing with, I do want to see what they do offensively. It might be have to just
Mm,
focus for now on, obviously keeping elite defense, but focusing more on what your options are offensively. So, if you can't always finish off those defensive possessions, being able to get buckets on the other side is definitely important, instead of just going stale completely or
for sure.
kind of dry on offense. So we're gonna see how they stack up, at least without Rob. Um,
Yeah,
these
and
first two
to
games
be
against some
in
contenders against the East in the East, huh?
yeah, and to be and look at the positive side. Last year we had a rough first half, and we went to the
Yeah,
finals. So a rough first half. I mean, look, we like this is if we're gonna be if we're not gonna be healthy, like I'd much rather it be right now than 2 games before the playoffs.
yeah,
A rough the we're more. It's really you. If you finish strong, you're golden. I mean, we saw a few years ago. Obviously, a lot has happened to them, but famously the Ben Simmons and Beats 76ers went on a crazy tear to end the season. This is like probably like 3-4 years ago, and they became a favorite to go far in the playoffs in that season because we
yeah,
just saw them end strong. And so the Celtics just did that last season.
yeah.
What's to say they can't do it again? Like
Mm-hmm.
anything's possible. So I think things are looking shaky that because of things that are in the player's control. So we will definitely, or not in the player's control in injuries, but in the control as in they have the talents and they can and we have and the season does look good. So we'll definitely have to keep our eyes peeled.
Yep. I'm curious to see how hungry they're going to look, especially coming out in the beginning. They've talked about
For
going
sure.
getting off to a better start. So I'm excited to see if they, put their money where their mouth is. So I'm I'm looking forward to it. I
For
think the
sure.
season's going to show a lot of character, with all the adversity they faced so far this offseason and after how the way last season ended in the finals. Um, I think you either put up or shut up. Obviously, it's
For
extremely
sure.
hard to win a championship, but I still think you based off the level of talent they have, there's no reason they should not at least be in the Eastern Conference Finals, and there's no reason that they should not be able to make the finals when fully healthy. Well, obviously, it's 82 game long season. We'll see how that ends up stacking out, but as of now, I'm confident in them. I think I really do believe that they're going to come out hungry, looking to prove something. So I guess we'll have to see. And it's good to have basketball back because
That's for
you
sure.
know it's a short off season, especially when you make it to the finals. But it seemed
Yeah.
like after the way it ended, I've definitely been kind of clawing back as well as a lot of fans have, just trying to see this team again and see how they improve and what's going to look like going forward. So it's going to be
Same
awesome.
times. Yeah.
So, um, Tuesday. Not sure. I was thinking of trying to do a post-game reaction, whether it's by myself or whoever can get on the 76ers game, because I definitely want to review that. The Sixers being a contender in the East, obviously Celtics opening up. I want to see how they're looking. So if you are listening, we appreciate you joining us again.
Of course.
Basketball is back. All is right in the world, at least for me. But we're going to see how the Celtics look as well as other teams. I think the Lakers and the Warriors are playing right after the Celtics and the 76ers on Tuesday night. So get to see a Lakers beat down. Even if you don't like the Warriors, I probably like seeing the Lakers get destroyed more. So
We'd
that'll
love
be
to see it
entertaining as
beat
well.
LA.
Yes, indeed. So again, thank you if you are listening. We're going to try
Or
to,
watching.
we are watching. We're going to try to see if we can get a post-game reaction on Tuesday with the 76ers game. And we will catch you next time. Thank you.
Thank you.